Okay, good morning Year 2. The first lesson we're going to do on time this week is we're going to recap everything that we learnt in Year 1. So, you should know that in a day there are 24 hours. Okay? Some of that time is spent when we're sleeping, some of that time is spent at school, you might spend some of that time swimming or watching television, but all of the hours in a day, there's 24 of them. And that happens each day. And we use a clock. This is what we call an analog clock. We can use an analog clock to help us know what time it is. Okay, because if we didn't know what time it is, how would we know that we need to be at school for 5 to 9? How would we know that our swimming lesson starts at 6? Okay, and how would we know what train to get? So it's really important that we know how to tell the time. And we're just going to focus on o'clock today. Okay, so actually, I'm going to let you into a little secret. We can tell the time, especially when it's an o'clock, just by using our hour hand. So I'm not even going to use my minute hand at the minute. And you'll notice that my hour hand is pointing at 4. That tells me that it's 4 o'clock. If my hour hand was pointing here, what time could I say it is there? It is 1 o'clock. What about if I put my hour hands here? I would say it is 8 o'clock. Okay, let's go for here. What time is that? Well done, 6 o'clock. So when the hour hand is directly pointing to a number on the clock face, that means it is o'clock. That's 5 o'clock. That's 4 o'clock. That's 3 o'clock. That's 2 o'clock, etc. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so my hour hand, if it's pointing directly at the number, straight at that number, okay, that's not o'clock, but that's o'clock. 8 o'clock, because it's pointing directly at the 8. Okay, then that tells me that it's an o'clock. Okay, so it might be 8 o'clock in the morning. That's probably when we're up, we're brushing our teeth, we're having our breakfast, we're getting ready to come to school. 3 o'clock. Okay, my hour hand's pointing directly at the 3. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, then we will all be sleeping nice and cozy in our beds. If it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then normally that's getting towards home time. We might be listening to a story, we might be watching news round, and we might be getting changed from PE. Okay, if I then have it at 5, that means it is 5 o'clock. Now, does anybody know where the minute hand is pointing all the time? So whenever it's an o'clock, this minute hand is always in the same place. Well done. It is always pointing at the 12. Okay, so I don't need the minute hand really to tell me when it's o'clock, like we said, because the hour hand is always pointing to that number, but the minute hand will always be at 12 o'clock. Okay, so that, what o'clock am I showing you there? Brilliant, I'm showing you 9 o'clock because the hour hand is pointing directly at the 9. What o'clock am I showing you here, Year 2? I'm showing you 7 o'clock. The hour hand is directly at the 7 and the minute hand is at 12, so that's 7 o'clock. I'm going to pause, I'm going to stop this video, and then I would like you to have a look at the home learning and have a go at the first activity where we'll be looking at just o'clock. Okay, and I've written it on there for your spellings, but you will also have it on the sheet as well. So have a go at those activities, all about telling the time to o'clock.